Okay, final go home show before Stand and Deliver. Now, I gotta say this. This is gonna be a couple of minutes, guys. I don't know how long this is gonna be. It's not a rant, but I've observed this. And I need you guys to understand my point of view why I mostly don't care about WrestleMania. And it's not because I hate The Rock, and it's not because I hate Cody, and it's not because I find that I'm just burnt out from wrestling. I'm not. But I'm gonna be honest here. If you look at legitimately, if you look at this entire situation, this entire thing has been borked from the very beginning when Rock came back and Cody gave up his spot for WrestleMania. Look, let's make this clear. And I want to make this clear to anyone who's watching this, because you're going to think, oh, he's just a Cody crybaby. I don't care. If anybody's watched me, I don't care about the story. The story doesn't mean anything. This is still Ari Emanuel's decision. Guys, no matter what you say, Ari Emanuel, who currently owns Endeavor, UFC, TKO Group Holdings, and WWE, he's the one who's making the final say on this. Not Triple H, not The Rock. They're allowed to do what they want until Ari says, stop. That's what this comes down to. And when everyone's seen what The Rock did, this has been a borked story from the beginning. From the time that Rock wanted this, Ari allowed it, and then people complained. Rock got angry. They had to change the story to try and make it work. And then, see it like this. Seth's story with a Drew McIntyre has felt like garbage. This Raw tried to clean up on it and didn't, even though it was done well. We're talking about weeks of work that should have been done ahead of time being done in one day, and it didn't work. Then you get Cody versus Roman. What did we get last week? We got The Rock beating the shit out of Cody. He gets blazed open, bleeding. And now they tried to make up for what happened for the last couple of weeks, where it should have been only Rock dealing with Cody. No matter if you think the story is done well or not. It should have been Rock. It should have been Cody. Whatever just Alex thinks, he's too biased at this point. It's not the point if the story worked or not. It's what they focused on for the last year. And it's not the point if I like the story or not. I personally don't care if Cody wins or loses. It's what they built. And then all of a sudden, once Ari decided he wanted to Rock on the board of directors and take over Vince's position as executive chairman, he gave Rock whatever he wanted and completely botched everything up. Whether you like it or not, things have been out of whack since the time The Rock made Cody give up his spot. You made Cody do 2 WrestleManias back to back. No, not WrestleMania. Well, technically, we're getting 2 WrestleManias back to back. And you got 2 Royal Rumbles back to back, where Cody wins both Royal Rumbles, he goes to one WrestleMania, fails, and now he's going to another WrestleMania, where, to be honest, I think he will fail. Now, if he does win, fine. But it's still borked, because it doesn't feel important. Because, let's make this clear, Cody feels more important dealing with The Rock than does Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns feels like an afterthought. 4 years. Since he came back dealing with leukemia, remember, 2018 into 19, he was diagnosed with leukemia again. He got it back. He had to fight it and finally returned after almost a year. He comes back, he turns heel, and from then, not only was he exciting, he held a title that made it relevant. And now that's all gone away, because it's all about The Rock. So I would rather see The Rock versus Cody. Rock versus Roman is a joke. Who cares about Rock versus Roman? Rock versus Cody has been basically pushed more than anything else. So when you see this entire situation, WrestleMania is borked. Whether you like it or not, when we see WrestleMania, we'll get good wrestling, but the stories is so screwed up that once it's all over, whether Cody wins or not, whether he gets to have a one-on-one with Roman, or he has to do bloodline rules. Makes no difference. It's garbage because it's been so messed up beforehand. But then you look at Stand and Deliver. I'm going right back to NXT. This is the only part of WWE that has been booked where you can understand what's going on. It's got general progression from majority of people who've been there. Yes, it's not strong in all places. Nope, it's not. But there has been booking that is 101 focus on what's going there and has been adjusted heavily to fit the narrative of this. Money, 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 money. Because that's what this is about. This is all about money. Whatever you believe, it isn't. You keep saying this is about the fans. It's not about the fans. It's about making as much money as possible. It doesn't matter if the wrestling's good or not, as long as the money comes in for Ari Emanuel, the board of directors, and The Rock. That's all that matters. They're going to put on whatever they're going to put on. If it comes out shitty, they don't care. As long as a huge amount of money comes in from WrestleMania 40 and it moves on to SummerSlam, Crown Jewel, and everything else after that, as long as the progression of money keeps going up, they don't care. But if it doesn't, they're willing to change everything on a dime to make it make money, not to make the fans happy. Now, let's go to the triple threat to see who will be the number one contender. LWO, Axiom, and Frazier, and the OC, which I'd rather see them as the Good Brothers. Because the OC doesn't exist anymore. Make them the Good Brothers again. I think that would have been better. Now, who did I think was going to win? I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't want to think who would win this because, technically speaking, who is the most important people there? All three teams are not that important. Frazier and Axiom have been built decently, but they really don't have a lot of star power. The OGs, I'm calling them OGs instead of OC. They are the original Bullet Club. They haven't been doing much of anything. And then you have the LWO, where they've been getting their asses handed to them by the El Fantasma. Del El Fantasma. They've been getting the ass whooped. So all three of them didn't really feel that important on WWE TV. Well, TKO WWE TV. So they chose the lesser of all three. And that is Axiom and Frazier. I'm not taking anything from them. But do you actually think they're important enough to actually go up against Stand and Deliver versus a Wolf Dogs? No. If they won, I'll be surprised. But that means they finally want to move Braun Breaker away from the title if they do that. But I don't think they're ready to do that yet. Honestly. Maybe SummerSlam they'll do. I don't see it here. Moving on. Second match. Fallon versus JC James. Due to the fact of what happened last week, they got this match. Now we see a little Thea Hale wearing a little cowboy hat, wearing all black and trying to look like a cowgirl. She took 3 steps back. She's going from one phase to another to another. She's not acting like the Thea Hale that we thought she should be. A grown-ass woman that doesn't need to be swayed by everybody else. They pushed back, made her go back to the Thea Hale of Chase U, and then now she's acting like the Thea Hale, the cowgirl that's working with a Fallon Henley. She's just all over the place. Of course, guess who wins? JC James wins. She does have some help. She has a lot of help by her side. You know who was all there. I'm not surprised. But I'm going to be honest here. Do I care about the 6-woman tag at Stand and Deliver? Because that's what they were demanding. I expected, and I'm saying this right now, I expected when I saw JC James at gorilla position, where we see Ava, that we were going to get her versus a Thea Hale. No. We get a 6-woman tag. And I'm going, why? That makes no sense. You've been building a story between Thea and JC, and now you're throwing everyone into it? It makes no sense. But that's the choice they made. Then we got another choice here. A decision for Lexis King versus Von Wagner, since Mr. Stone has finally gone bye-bye due to the fact of how he got so broken inside that he couldn't protect his children and keep his family name and himself honored, Von Wagner wants to try and fix it. And he gets his ass handed to him. But you would expect that if they had this long-running story of Lexis King messing with Mr. Stone, messing with Von Wagner, wouldn't it have been better to try and end it at Stand and Deliver, where there would be a payout? No, there is none. They just ended it here. So it's like, why? Is there going to be so little time for everyone there? Is it going to be, what are we exactly getting at Stand and Deliver? What are we getting? Now, I'm not saying that was the strongest story, but it was a good, well-developed story to a certain extent. Not everybody liked it, but it was developed. And they just do this. We're on the go-home show. If they were going to do something with Stone, they should have done it here. Now, moving on. Obafemi versus Joe Gacy. Now, this was only supposed to be for Dijak, and this was supposed to be for Briggs. That's the only reason that we had this match. So they would tune in on it later. Now let me give it to you like this. Do I believe that Obafemi is a monster? Yeah, in the ring he is. But do I feel his character? No. But it's understandable. He's still new. There's no way he's getting his character over within a couple of months. It's not as good as it is. Yes, we got people chanting, "Whoo!" But it's not enough. He still has not shown how well his character can be developed yet. It's still too soon. He's a dominant champion, but that doesn't really mean anything. He's not like Wes Lee, who was incredibly good in the ring, and he had to win the people over with his character later. The way he spoke, the way he acted, the way he was showing that he was willing to do anything, and pretty much HBK put him over. Talking about, hey, you need to be careful, you need to be calm. He had segments with HBK. Obafemi doesn't have that here. He's got no mentor, and he's working with a title that it feels like he's not ready for it yet, but they decide to push him anyway. This is the way I feel. He won, of course. And now we're going to get a match between him, and this is Joe Gacy, and Shawn Spears, because Shawn Spears nails him in the back. I don't know how far they're going to go with this. Let's go to Ariana Grace versus Sinclair. Why didn't they show Gigi Golan? Look, she's supposed to become a pageant queen. She's supposed to be all dressed up and looking beautiful and sexy. Look. Between JC James and Gigi, Gigi was better looking. She is just freaking better looking than JC James. And JC is not an ugly woman either. But Gigi compared to JC, this is JC. This is Gigi. She got birthing hips. I'm not being disrespectful. Some people have it. Men got birthing hips just like women. Trust me, I've seen men who got birthing hips. I don't have them. I'm pretty like this. But I've seen men and women who got birthing hips. They look like they just something pop out. But you get my point. But she is built. And why wasn't she shown? Are we going to see her Stand and Deliver? That she better. Because after making her become basically not a slave to Ariana Grace, but basically saying, I'm going to turn you into a presentable woman, we should have seen something. I'm just saying. All right. Soruka versus Davenport. Why? Soruka being taken out by Davenport. Davenport doesn't care and wants to destroy Soruka again. Why wasn't this set up to at least be on the countdown like Joe Gacy with Shawn Spears? Why? There's your story right there. I don't understand why they didn't do it. And I'm like, why? Why? I don't understand. I don't. It's making my scalp itch. I don't get it. I'm very confused. And it looks like they've ended it. Maybe. But let's move on to the two segments that mattered the most. I know there was other stuff in the back. I'm going to talk about two things. First one. Let's make this very, very clear. Was Ilya Dragunov and the Tony D'Angelo segment good? Yes. Let's make this clear. When you look at NXT, when they do special things like that compared to SmackDown and Raw, they beat them hands down. I'm making this clear. If you don't like NXT, I understand it. But when you look at the production value of when they want to make a segment special, they're making definitely sure, even if it's in the same venue, to at least make it look important, to make it feel special. The ambiance of the entire situation is made very special. They tried to lean into it. I can say this about HBK. Even though HBK may have his flaws and his quirks and shit like that, he's done very well when it comes to those types of things. He makes sure that his team is set up to make it look good. That entire segment with the family there, seeing the nail gun going off, and even if it's in the same venue as the entire everything there, at least they made it look different enough with the lights down, with everything there, and they went in the right places to make it look like something that would be used by a mob family. It felt very well done. The talk of him going to get that title, respecting, and this is Ilya, respecting Tony as the Don, but he's not going to get him, and seeing that Ilya's hand is all taped, like, good. This is good to see that the Mad Dragon, his hand is screwed up, so he has a weakness, and that he's going to lose. I enjoyed this segment. It was done very well. You don't see anything like this on Raw and SmackDown. None of it. And that's a lost thing on the main roster that the damn developmental is doing, whether you like the developmental or not. I'm just giving you exactly what we're getting here. We get more type of presentation compared to the main roster. And it makes me think, has the tables have turned where Triple H, who made NXT Black and Gold, the original one, when it was really getting hot between 14 to 18 and 19, really important, has lost it. And now it's HBK who's taking the same thing that his best friend used to do, and now he's made it his own. Like I said, when you look at NXT, it's a little bit of Shawn Michaels himself, a little bit of, yes, Vince from the 90s, and a little bit of Triple H. He's taken all that, swirled it together with his own thoughts, and created this. Something that has a little taste of maybe before the Attitude Era, during the golden age of wrestling in the 80s, taking a little bit of what happened in NXT in the early form of it, when people really cared about being popular, and what he thinks of what the Attitude Era was. I'm sorry. This is what it is. Final. Face to face. This is going to be the bread and butter of Stand and Deliver. This is where we're going to see how well NXT has developed two stars. Two really honest to goodness stars. One who's been developed for 3 years in Carmelo Hayes, and one that's been developed for the last 6 months in a Trick Williams. Now I'm going to be honest here. Do I like Trick more better than Melo? Yes. I think Trick Williams feels more organic than Carmelo Hayes. Now, I'm not taking anything from Carmelo. He's a great heel, and he should always stay a heel. As a face, he's not that good. But as a heel, he is damn good. When you look at Trick Williams, as a face, he's way better than he is as a heel. Because he's too corny as a heel. But when you see him in this type of a face, when you see him that he's not like acting stupid, but he's more of a street smart, down to earth type of face. Not like some vanilla face that could be black or white. Don't matter. Vanilla face is vanilla face. We get this. And it feels organic when it comes to Trick. It does feel a bit forced when it comes to Carmelo, but it doesn't take anything from him. He's heavily talented. He knows how to talk. He knows how to do his business. And the talk they both had was very profound. You got Trick saying, dude, when it comes down to it, we're going to be, and I've always stated they do this, unfortunately. I wish they would stop doing this bullshit, but I can understand it as being part black, saying that this will be the first time two black men will basically be headlining a pay-per-view from NXT. I can understand the precedent of it. But at this point in 2024, as someone who grew up in a black family, flat out black, I'm mixed black with Puerto Rican, Native American, possibly Chinese. I grew up in a black family. Doesn't mean I don't care about what black means. I do. But at this point, when do we say it's not needed anymore? When do you say it? Every time when it's something first, it has to be about, gotta say you're black? It feels very cliche, as I've always stated that stereotypes is always in wrestling. But sometimes it would be just good to hear two guys who came from nothing. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Spanish, or Asian. That was stated. That these guys literally came up from nothing. They didn't have much money. You don't have to be in the slums of New York or Harlem to do that. Any part of the United States, there's slums. There's almost nothing. And I kind of wish they went in that direction than this. Because I think it's more important to see that they're more important than their blood and their race. I want to see Trick Williams be recognized for the hard work he is as a man that came up from where he came up. As well as Carmelo Hayes. You got one guy in Philly and one guy in Boston. They both didn't come up in much, but they both came up and became pro wrestlers. When you heard what Trick Williams talked about in SmackDown, his first match, it was only his third real match he ever had, and it was Carmelo there with him. I wish they had focused more on that than about the race of it. Now, of course, it was very brief what he said, but for me, I don't think it was necessary. But did it take anything away from the moment? No. It was done very well. Trick Williams spoke the way he needed to. Carmelo spoke the way he needed to do. And I will say that the way that Carmelo gives his delivery does sound like he's thinking about his lines instead of just saying it. Unlike Trick, who's very organic, he's very smooth when he talks. Carmelo kind of feels like he's thinking a little bit too much on how he wants to deliver his lines. Carmelo compared to Trick, who just delivers the line. There's a difference. That doesn't mean that Carmelo can't deliver lines. When he just lets it go, he's smooth. But you can see who can do it the most smoothest, and it's Trick. And we finally get to fight afterward, and now we got Stand and Deliver set up. This was done very well. Now, do I agree with everything? Hell no. No. Now, admittedly, the one thing I did like next to this, and next to Ilya Dragunov, I know I hadn't said anything about the ladies I'm talking about now with metaphors, I think the reason that I didn't want to do the Supernova sessions is because I hate the Supernova sessions. I just don't feel that Nolan Dar is charismatic enough to do it. Not because of his accent, he's just not that charismatic. He can play a silly guy, and he's good at it. But as a host, he doesn't feel it. Now, if he's just with metaphor and he acts out, he's funny. But here he just doesn't feel it. Now, did they both talk well? Yes. Lara Valkyrie talked well, and let me give it to like this. Who was better? It was pretty much Rox. Rox was better. Roxanne Perez was better talking than it was Lara Valkyria. But I will say at the end, Lara was much better than she normally is. And see a driver through a small table was okay. Did I think it was necessary? Yes. Did I want to see it? No. I kind of wanted something different. I wasn't sure what though. But this is just me. This was very well done. Don't agree with everything. But I got to tell you, compared to the main roster, I'm not having a lot of confidence in this WrestleMania. I'm sorry. Look, I'm not doing Stand and Deliver in the afternoon on Saturday. It will be done Monday. I'm sorry, guys. You will see it Monday. Because I'm not going to do Stand and Deliver, then night one of WrestleMania, then be exhausted by the second night, and I will be burnt out. And not that I won't do wrestling anymore, but I don't want to be exhausted like that. It's not good for mental faculties. So you're going to see WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2, and then Stand and Deliver that night on Monday. It will be done. I will see it. You will see it. I'm sorry if it's going to be late, but that's just a little too much for me personally. Peace.